Hi, I'm Simon Rushton and this is Taxi Chronicles Podcast. On this podcast, we spontaneously interview unsuspecting passengers with their permission, allowing them to share their intimate life stories and concerns. As our slogan states, real riders, real stories. Some riders prefer to be anonymous, while others ask me to tell their story later on. Either way, there are all genuine 5 to 10 minutes stories, so sit back and enjoy this episode.
Good night. Yes, it's early hours of the morning now actually, and we've got two people in a taxi, but we're going to only have one person speaking. We're going to be talking about the banking industry, mainly HSBC, and how it was mixed up with the cartels in South America, and we're just generally chit chat and see how the conversation goes. So if I start off, for those who don't know the story as listeners, there was a situation in South America. Was it Mexico? I think so. I can't. Okay, and everybody's quiet. And what was happening? The cartels were basically money laundering through a bank, and later on the bank found out, but then nothing was done. And we're just talking about how easy it is to take money when you know your life's on the line, as the alternative measure, even though it's not mentioned. So, but then we also spoke about the gangs, the drug industry being different from England, and how Mexico is more organised crime. Okay, so do you want to jump in?
I'm happy to, yeah.
Okay, he's just got totally quiet. It's like I'm having a conversation with myself. Okay.
Well, I don't want to disrupt your.
We're here. It's all
the structure of your podcast.
No, there's no structure. It's just flowing.
It's a free-flowing podcast.
It's the McDonald's version of Joe Rogan.
Oh, but we love Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we love Joe Rogan.
We love Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan's the man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So from my experience and understanding that the political situation in Mexico is very different to how it is in the UK, mm-hmm. and that is a state that has become a narco state over the last 20 to 30 years, following subsequent to what's happened in Colombia, and the tentacles of the cartels are deeply embedded in the Mexican establishment, mm-hmm. in a way that they aren't in the UK. So in the UK, the drugs industry is very much perceived, I think, probably to be a working class and, dare I say, a black issue. In Mexico, it's big business, seriously big business, and it's been, politicians, bankers, mm-hmm. financiers, everyone is involved.
Can you, have you ever seen on Sky, they've got a TV series called Gangs of London. Have you seen that?
I haven't. Okay,
what that shows, and I watched the episodes, and I watched the director, and he said why he made it. It's actually, I think it's two directors. Why they made it is because they wanted to show how drugs is not the stereotypical working class. It's actually embedded in the corporate element, and that's how this city's built. And I don't know if you are going to watch it, so I don't want to give too much away. Spoiler alerts. But what they're saying is that, like we have a lot of Russians here now, and they've come over with their drug money and illegal arms money, and they prop up the economy.
Yeah.
And the government knows, and the government gives them whatever they need to do to allow them to invest in all these in London and stuff. So in essence, it's like politicians supporting the drug industry. Because what they should be doing, argumentatively, is what they do with quite a few African leaders, where they say, well, where did you get this money from? Prove to us that this money is not stolen from your economy, and blah, blah, blah. But they don't. With the Russians and, even organised Chinese crimes and various other things, they just turn a blind eye. But because, let's say, Africa's in the public eye, it's looked at in a different shape. So why I bring this up is because the point is that regardless of what the country, it's still the same game. It's just that it's perceived in different ways based on media basis.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's absolutely spot on. I suspect that the Russian and the Chinese money that's in London is sufficiently well laundered, should we say, that it now appears to come as a credible source of investment, and I'm sure that that cash is the same cash that is involved in organised crime as well.
And then even if we want to go further, speaking as an ex-military man, I know the drug industry, let's say in Afghan, is the struggle in Afghanistan is actually the American government, i.e. the CIA, wants to run that drug industry. And because obviously the warlords aren't really having it, you've got that conflict. Now, some people would say that they used the heroin for medical purposes back in the Western countries, but it's still an industry. And from that, it's caused a lot of deaths, a lot of problems, if you see what I mean. So there's the war on terror, but it's just like the war on drugs is big business.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on the heroin aspect, I'll be honest. I'm a bit more comfortable giving my view on Latin America and cocaine.
Okay.
To be honest.
No, everybody's entitled to opinion, and no one's opinion, well, let's say it is wrong until proven otherwise. Yeah. It's just one of those things. But I just see is that I did an episode, well, there's two things. I did an episode with accountant, and he has a lot of Russian clients. Right. And he was saying, he's a British guy living here. Yeah. And he said it's very easy because they will only take on businesses where it's cash in hand. So this is Russians. Yeah, this is the Russians. And he said when they do have other businesses, he says as an accountant they're always trying to give you a Rolex or trying to give you this or trying to that. And he said it's very easy to slip into that thing, and then before you know you're owned. So for him, he's always like no dinners, no nothing. Yeah, I can well imagine that. I can well imagine that. So some very, very underhand people, and there's some very intelligent people. And let's not assume that criminals or the agents of criminals are anything other than some of the most intelligent people in the business world, because some of the biggest money is being made by criminal activities. So, some of these individuals they know exactly how to manipulate and achieve their goals. And they're better, as good as, or if not better than people in the legitimate private sphere. Okay. I did an interview about drugs because I have a lot of drug dealers. Well, I used to have quite a few drug dealers who get in the car, and obviously I don't know them. They've just ordered the taxi, and with these Uber or Bolt, these systems, you're only meant to be able to get 4 drops because there's 4 people could get in a taxi at any one time, so I mentally get 4 drops. After that, it goes. The taxi's opened out to other people. but they'd have you driving around for an hour, dropping here, dropping there, changing locations, all these kind of things. Now, some people could say, oh, you should call the police. I say that's opening a big can of worms and probably get yourself in lots of trouble in that respect. But on another note, what I noticed is that on Sunday mornings, I used to pick up, a lot of the clientele I pick up are going back to Putney, Chelsea, Knightsbridge, and they're all high and they've been doing drugs. And it occurred to me that the dealer's not necessarily the problem, it's actually the user. And I was saying this to some Colombians who was in the car later on. They got very upset because they're saying, no, it's the dealer, because they're thinking of Pablo Escobar and all these kind of things. But it's interesting, his point of view was the dealers, if you made it legal, then the dealers wouldn't have any platform to be killing each other because it would be legal. But then I said, but then you're going to have people who are ODing and people not looking after their children and all the after effects that happen.
The social impact,
social effects. But his attitude was, well, that's their problem. But then it occurred to me, this is one of these kind of situations you're never really going to resolve. Because as long as people want to use, because whether they're unhappy or it's just recreational, you're always going to have these issues. And then you're always going to have people like sharks who will prey on the weak and things like along that line of things. But then, mind you, our Prime Minister's taken drugs before. So,
absolutely.
Maybe he should be on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say is that the age-old argument: alcohol is legal, tobacco is legal,
and now
they are both responsible for a lot of ill health and deaths.
More deaths
and social problems. So how is it that alcohol is legal and marijuana is illegal? That's a question. I think that really we know the answer behind that. It's to do with social conservatism, and probably in the United Kingdom we'll see steps towards decriminalisation and legalisation, I would think, within the next 10 years. On the basis that that is what's going on in the continent and that's what's going on in the United States. The issue with regard to hard drugs, specifically heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, is an interesting one. Heroin, I think, is universally regarded as being a negative impact on society.
Go on.
Cocaine, a great deal of violence and bloodshed.
But do you know
would be saved if that was legalised also. But
do you know Johnson & Johnson have been given the rights to sell ketamine?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I heard that on the Joe Rogan show the other day.
Right.
And what they do now, you are under medication, but you take it and they supervise you for the next 24 hours or whatever, a couple of hours, and see how you, so you can get your high. But it's $15,000 to...
$15,000?
Yeah. Or is it 15,000 or 1,500? One of the two.
1,500, I would have thought.
But he said because they're mainly aiming at the rich. But he said because the guy who was speaking was ex-military, and what he was saying is that a lot of the ex-military have PTSD, and it's part of like a hallucinogenic drug.
Yeah.
So it helps you deal with your demons. Do you understand? So it costs him 90...
so it's part of the therapy.
Yeah, it costs him £90. Probably I should have said that at the start.
Yeah.
It costs him £90 or $90, sorry, to get that, to help him with his PTSD. It was actually a British journalist, sorry.
Right.
It was a podcast, #1221266, if you want to listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah. But And he was saying how that helped him, and that the government's banned anything that's hallucinogenic in England, because it's actually removes the need for all the synthetic drugs that people take.
Right.
So it hurts the medical, the real drug pushers, which I argue. And that's but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And he said, why would they charge such much, $90 to $1,500? What is the difference why you charge so much?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what it is, isn't it? They're trying to clamp down, have a monopoly, and really push, because if you think about it, the tobacco, they spike the tobacco to make it addictive. That's just like spiking weed with cocaine.
Do they? I didn't know they spiked tobacco.
Yeah, there's been even movies about it.
Right.
Yeah. There's one with Al Pacino when he goes to fight the tobacco companies, Big Tobacco. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's
I don't know.
I remember that. Not The Insider.
Is it Insider? Might
Maybe it's The Insider.
Yeah,
There's one with it's Russell Crowe, isn't it, or somebody, and he's basically blowing the whistle on the tobacco industry.
Yeah, and stuff. So it's a lot
of the legislation, regulation regarding narcotics and alcohol and tobacco is outdated. So here's an interesting fact for your listeners. I was told the other day that one of the major lobbyists against marijuana back in the day, so this is going back to in the US in the 50s and 60s,
I know this one.
was one of the US press barons. Now, let me get this right, who this was. It was, he was the guy that the film Citizen Kane was based on.
Okay.
So whoever that was it?
I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about.
It's going to annoy the hell of us. Anyway, he had a major interest in one form of paper production and hemp.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
The production of hemp was going to go against his preferred form of paper production, and so hemp, as far as he was concerned, was
of the devil.
The devil's work, right?
The devil's work.
So he went against it on the basis that it was just this slightly more obscure aspect of it was that it was a psycho. It was a recreational drug.
Okay.
And he was behind the, or in no small part behind the pushing through of legislation against marijuana back in the 60s. And here we are.
Yes, here we are. Well, thanks for that.
Well, that was great fun. That was great fun having a chat with you about that.
Okay.
I hope you can edit.
We hope you liked that episode. Keeping in mind, we never know who we're going to interview. We post twice a day, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. GMT. Have you ever considered the future economies to invest in? Why not listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories? Considering Africa has the fastest growing economies and population on Earth and has done for many years, it holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. We publish twice a week, Tuesday with a guest investor and Fridays talking about investment, politics and history, providing a clear understanding for any potential investor.